Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. I believe Richard Allen is the man on the bridge that forced Abby and Libby down the hill, and that led to their deaths. Here is why. I'm going to do a shortened version of the probable cause document in a much easier to digest format than just reading through it. On February 13, 2017, it was a sunny day in Delphi. The high temperature that day was 42 to 43 degrees. So it was chilly, but the sun makes people think it's warmer. So a lot of people remember back then that it was warm, and it did get extremely warm later in the week, I think up into the 60s even. On that day, Rayleigh, Brianna, and Anna were 3 of 4 girls that were on the trails together, and they were interviewed by law enforcement. At 12:43, a picture on Bree's phone was taken. This picture was taken right here at the start of the Monon High Bridge on the northwest portion of it. So it was right here. A photograph was taken at 12:43. Then at 1:26, another photograph was taken at a bench as they were heading out of the trail system. They were going to be going to the Freedom Bridge and then over Old Road 25 right there. So they were heading out and they stopped at a bench. I'll just choose this bench right here. It was 1:26. 1:27, just a minute later, a car that matched the vehicle that Richard Allen drove by the Hoosier Harvest Store camera right here, and that was at 1:27. Richard Allen told Dan Doolin he was on the trails from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. and parked at the old Farm Bureau building. Later in October of 2022, he stated he parked his car on the side of an old building. There is no Farm Bureau building in the area, and investigators believe he is referring to the abandoned CPS building, and that belief is corroborated by the 1:27 Hoosier Harvest Store video showing a vehicle that matches the description of Richard Allen's vehicle driving west towards the abandoned CPS building. So a vehicle matching Richard Allen's vehicle drives by, and it's heading directly towards the abandoned CPS building. To further corroborate this timing is that the 3 girls, after taking the photograph at 1:26, are almost to the Freedom Bridge. And at that time, they pass an individual that matches Richard Allen's description. And that would be right in this area. So 1:26, on this bench right here, they take a photograph, and then they head this direction. And then right here, they likely ran into Richard Allen as he was coming in from the abandoned CPS building. He says he got there, he was there from 1:30 to 3:30. A vehicle matching his drives by at 1:27, heading towards the abandoned CPS building. And then, likely right around 1:35 p.m., they encounter Richard Allen as he's entering the trail system. And then after that, Richard Allen continues towards the Monon High Bridge, as he himself stated on October 13th, 2022. Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. He advised he was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trails east of Freedom Bridge and that he went on to the Monon High Bridge. Richard Allen's own words indicate he saw the 3 girls as he arrived at the Freedom Bridge and was continuing on to the Monon High Bridge and not leaving at 1:30, as he stated in October of 2022. One of the 3 girls, named Anna, described the male as a kind of creepy and advised he was wearing like blue jeans, a like really light blue jacket, and his hair was gray, maybe a little brown, and he did not really show his face. She also stated that the jacket was duck canvas. Rayleigh, also one of the 3 girls, described the situation. She said hi to the male, but he just glared at them. She believed he was wearing all black and had something covering his mouth, She said he was not bigger than 5'10", black hoodie, black jeans, and black boots. Now the girls all say that they saw one individual. At 1:44 p.m., Betsy Blair drives under the old SR-25 bridge and sees the 4 girls walking over the bridge as she heads to the parking spot across from the Mears property. At 1:46 p.m., she passes the Hoosier Harvest Store camera. About 15 seconds later, she would park her car across from the Mears property where there is access to the trails. Betsy was there for exercise and got out of her car and walked towards the Monon High Bridge. So Betsy Blair is driving right here on Old Road 25, and as she's going underneath it, she sees the 4 girls. 3 of them were interviewed. The 4 girls cross the Freedom Bridge and are going right over the old State Road 25 bridge as she's going underneath it. So it would have been about 1:44 when Betsy Blair is driving underneath the old State Road 25 bridge right here. 2 minutes later, she drives around like this and down and then crosses in front of the Hoosier Harvest Store video. And that would have been at 1:46. And then, like I was saying, about 15 seconds later, would have parked over here at the parking spot across from the Mears property, which is right there. Between 1:43 and 1:50, given a 10 to 15 minute walking time, Richard Allen arrives at the Monon High Bridge. So he's walking, and Betsy Blair is coming around in this area like this, driving her car, and Richard Allen's already walking. He's likely around in this area right now, and he makes it to the bridge between 1:43 and 1:50. It just depends on how fast he walked. But given the fact that he parked at the abandoned CPS building, let me show you this image right here. The walking time from the Freedom Bridge to the start of the Monon High Bridge is 15 minutes, walking 3 miles an hour. Now, it sounds like Richard Allen was hustling. He was moving quicker. So let's say he was walking 4 miles an hour. Maybe it took him 13 minutes or 12 to 13 minutes to get there. And so that means if he passed the girls at 1:33 to 1:35, you add 12 minutes to that, it'd be around 1:45 to 1:50, where he ends up at the Monon High Bridge right here. So he's in front of Betsy Blair. He's about right here-ish when Betsy Blair parks her car, and then he makes it to the Monon High Bridge around 1:50, 1:45, 1:50. At 1:49 p.m., a white car matching Kelsey German's vehicle drives by the Hoosier Harvest Store camera. Just prior to that, Libby and Abby were dropped off at the parking lot across from the Mears property. Betsy Blair's vehicle is already parked there. Abby and Libby start walking on the trail and head towards the Monon High Bridge. They are behind Betsy Blair and Richard Allen. Richard Allen's already at the bridge, and Betsy Blair is approaching the bridge at this point, and Abby and Libby are just starting their journey on the trail. In the October 13, 2022 interview, Richard Allen told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. He advised he may have been wearing some type of head covering as well. Richard Allen further stated he went out onto the Monon High Bridge to watch the fish. Later in his statement, he said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. So that means he's saying that he walked out to platform number 1 right there. Now this says 1:55. That was just an estimate from before. I'm trying to dial it in a little bit better. I think it's around 1:50, 1:43 to 1:50. All right, it's probably somewhere in the middle is when Richard Allen got to the bridge. And then he makes his way out onto platform 1. At around 1:51 to 1:53, Betsy Blair would have arrived at the Monon High Bridge. This time could vary by a couple of minutes, as it takes 7 minutes at a 3 mile an hour walk. And here is a picture of it. So from right here to the start of the bridge, it's 7 minutes using Google Maps. And that's at 3 miles an hour. Now, Betsy Blair was there to exercise, so she could have done it quicker. So if her car got there at 1:46, she gets out of her car, immediately starts walking. That would be 1:53 that she gets to the bridge. But if she walked at 4 miles an hour, maybe it's closer to 1:51. So at around 1:51 to 1:53, Betsy Blair would have arrived at the Monenhigh Bridge. When she gets there, she sees a man wearing exactly what Richard Allen described himself as wearing, standing on platform 1 even. Betsy described him as wearing a blue duck canvas coat. This matches the jacket that Anna Spath described. Blair said that the male was standing on the first platform of the Monenhigh Bridge, approximately 50 feet away from her. Remember that Richard Allen said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. So after she turned around, she heads west back towards the Freedom Bridge. Approximately halfway between the bridge and the Mears parking area, she passed 2 girls walking towards the High Bridge. Blair said that she believed it was Liberty German and Abigail Williams. This would likely be around 1:56 or 1:57. So right in this area right here, right around in there, Betsy Blair passes Abby and Libby. After Abby and Libby pass Betsy Blair, the only person on the trails they will encounter in front of them is a man that matches the clothing description that Richard Allen gave of himself. Abby and Libby would have encountered this man as they reached the bridge around 2 p.m. 2 digital Snapchat images from Libby's phone were uploaded to social media while they were enjoying their time on the bridge. The first photograph was taken just south of platform 2. It was taken likely around 2:03 to 2:04 and is facing southeast and shows nobody on the bridge. If you look in the background there, there's nobody on the bridge. At 2:07 p.m., Liberty took a picture facing northwest from platform 3 of Abby. The suspect, matching Richard Allen's clothing description, is not seen in this image. The suspect likely passed the girls near the start of the bridge and headed towards the Freedom Bridge, only traveling a short distance. He watched and waited for the girls to move across the bridge. Abby and Libby continue their journey across the bridge. So you look at this picture right here, and right in this area, Abby and Libby likely walk by who I believe is Richard Allen in this area right here. And he walks by them not to freak them out and be standing there. He walks this direction, and I think he waited somewhere around in this area right here. And he watched, and he waited, and the girls continued out onto the bridge. The first photograph of the full length of the bridge was taken right around in this area. The second one was taken on platform 3, and Abby's in the photograph back towards that direction. And then they continued to go across the bridge. And this is when I believe the killer made his move. So this is where the first photograph was taken, the full length of the bridge. And you can see it right there. There's nobody on the bridge in front of him there. Then after that, Libby continues onward. I think she was always in front of Abby. She was very comfortable on the bridge, been there many times. Then she goes on to platform 3 here and takes a photograph back towards Abby as she walks towards the southeast portion of the bridge. She's heading in that direction. And there's the photograph right there, and you can see behind there is no suspect or anybody in the background. And then they continue onward. All right, and now this is what I was talking about. I think at some point they saw the guy coming at him. You can see him in the background there. He was coming at them. All right, so he would have been following them across the bridge. They were quite a ways ahead of him, but he was walking very fast and caught up to them in about 3 minutes, I would say. He probably walked at a pace that he could get across the bridge in 3 to 4 minutes. It took Abby and Libby 6 minutes to get from that photograph to the end of the bridge, and you'll hear that here in a second. At 2:10 p.m., an individual named Terry Wilson from about 250 feet away observed a purple PT Cruiser or a small SUV vehicle parked on the south side of the old CPS building. And that would be right here. So he was driving his vehicle on the highway over here, and he looked across and saw what he thought looked like to be a purple PT Cruiser. All right. Then at 2:13 p.m., just 6 minutes after the Snapchat image of Abby was taken, the same individual, matching Richard Allen's description of himself, is seen and heard near the end of a 43-second long video. This video was taken on the southeast end of the bridge by Libby, using her cell phone held down low and near her side. The male suspect is heard interacting with the girls, saying "guys," and then ordering them down the hill using what law enforcement believes to be a gun to control them. And we'll see that portion coming up here. Now, here it is. Abby's still on the bridge, and the suspect is really moving quick. I believe it's Richard Allen right here, moving very fast on the bridge. And when he gets to the bridge, he says, so he says, "Guys, down the hill," right then. So he has them go down the hill, and that would be right over here at the end of the bridge. Abby's still on the bridge. The bridge guy is actually past the 6th platform, about 60 feet away when the video was taken, and he catches right up to them and says, "Guys, down the hill." Has them go down the hill right there. All right. The man matching Richard Allen's clothing description of himself is not seen again on the trails after 2:13. This is because Richard Allen has taken the girls down the hill and across Deer Creek, where they were murdered. At around the same time of Libby's 43-second video, Betsy Blair arrives back at her car at 2:14. All right, so Betsy Blair, who had been here, I think, likely walked over to the Freedom Bridge and then back to her car, and you can see that in this map right here. So this timing here is from there all the way to the Freedom Bridge, so at the start of the Monenhigh Bridge, to the Freedom Bridge, and then back to the parking area is around 25 minutes at 3 miles an hour. But if she was there exercising, she would walk a little bit quicker, maybe 4 miles an hour, and the time is absolutely consistent. So let's just say it was 20 minutes, and I have Betsy Blair leaving the Monenhigh Bridge start at 1:53 or 1:51 to 1:53. Add 20 minutes to that, you're now at 2:11 to 2:13, and that's exactly the time she gets back to her car at 2:13, and she heads out of the area. So at 2:13, she gets back to her vehicle, which is parked right here, and then it goes by the Hoosiers Harvest Store camera at 2:14. Betsy Blair advised when she was leaving, she noted a vehicle was parked in an odd manner at the old Child Protective Service building. She said it was not odd for a vehicle to be parked there, but she noticed it was odd because of the manner it was parked, backed in near the building. At 2:27, Wesley McWhirter advised he remembered seeing a smaller, dark-colored car parked at the old CPS building. He described it as possibly being a smart car. He drives east past the Hoosier Harvest Store camera at 2:28. All right, so McWhirter, he drove by here probably at 2:27. He saw a car parked there, and he kept driving, and then he's seen on this camera here at 2:28. But here's the thing. So unless you believe that there are 3 different vehicles in an 18-minute period backed in oddly, one after another, then all saw the same smaller, dark SUV-like vehicle. And here's a picture of sort of an examples here. So here's the 2016 Ford Focus. This is a PT Cruiser. This is a smart car. The similarity is in the back, how it slants up like that. They're small SUV. The smart car is tiny. But if you're driving by really fast and you just kind of remember the general shape, that might be something you remember. Nobody's thinking, boy, I better remember what type of car that was. I agree with law enforcement when they say they're consistent. And the reason I say that is because it is the same vehicle, right? Nobody believes that in an 18-minute period that 3 different vehicles backed in an odd manner in the same area. Nobody believes that. Okay? At 3:57 p.m., Sarah Carbaugh was traveling east on CR 300 North and observed an individual who appeared to have on the blue jacket or the tan hoodie that is underneath the blue jacket in Libby's 43-second video. He also appeared to be muddy and possibly bloody, and they looked like they had been in a fight. Early on in the investigation, a bullet shell was found between the bodies of Abby and Libby, but closer to Libby's. The ejection marks on this bullet match tests performed on Richard Allen's Sig Sauer Model P226 .40 caliber pistol. Richard Allen is the man that Rayleigh, Brianna, and Anna crossed paths with. Richard Allen admits to seeing them. Richard Allen is the person that Betsy Blair saw on Platform 1, the platform that Richard Allen admitted to being on, looking at fish. Richard Allen is the person seen in Libby's 43-second video based on the precise timing and description of the clothing Richard Allen said he was wearing. Richard Allen is the person that Sarah Carbaugh witnessed after Richard Allen possibly took off his dark blue jacket. One of her accounts says he was wearing the blue jacket. Richard Allen confessed to the murders to his wife and mother-in-law. My opinion is that Richard Allen is the man on the bridge and therefore is the person who abducted Abby and Libby, which led to their murders. What do you guys think about this video? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure the people who think Richard Allen is innocent will come up with all kinds of crazy theories out there. It'll be absolutely amazing. So thank you very much for watching. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there.